Good afternoon, guys. Welcome back into my channel. So in this lab, we're going to create a Redis cache in Azure. So this is a documentation from Azure for Microsoft. So it's kind of showing you all the steps to create things. So you can see here it shows like how to configure Azure Cache for Redis. So it's just showing you all the steps. Let's just talk about like this article describe the configuration available on your Azure Cache for Redis instances. So it covers default Redis server configuration for Azure Cache for Redis instances. So it's pretty simple. It's kind of showing you all the steps on the portal. And also if you want to use CLI or whatever for some of these configuration, maybe on the Redis it may not provide the CLI, but some of the things like Azure would show you like if you want to use like PowerShell or CLI or whatever. So it just show the documentation on the steps and the steps on how to create a Redis cache. So I'm just showing you this so you could, you see Azure CLI, so it's just showing you, like the keys and stuff that you would need. So move your cache to a new subscription and stuff like that. So this is pretty interesting thing to know that you can so you could jump into Microsoft website and just they'll show you everything on how to create certain things and stuff like that. So I like to go over these before I jump in, make my configuration. So I would advise you to check out this website so you would know like geo application, virtual network, private endpoint firewalls and stuff like that, Azure Cache for Redis with Azure private link and stuff. So this is very interesting, guys. Honestly, it is. You can specify firewall rules with a start and end IP address range when firewall rules are configured only client connection. So properties, log administration settings. Pretty interesting input and output, reboot. Okay, so first thing first, I like to show you these are not like rocket scientists and spreadsheet. You just have to love them and take your time and just go over, these resources because they're available on the internet so everybody can access them. So yeah. So why don't you just go ahead and jump on the Azure portal and start making this configuration. So to create a Redis cache in Azure. So by the way, Azure Cache for Redis provide an in-memory data store based on the Redis software. So Redis improves the performance and scalability of an application that use backend data stores heavily. So you would need to go on create a resource. So once you get there, you gotta go here where it says like popular Azure services. So you will click to see more. in all services. And as you hear, so there we go. We have it right there, right on here. Azure Cash for Redis. So at time it might take you to school just to find this. So I was already there, so I already have it available here for me. So let me just click here. So Azure Database Migration Services, Azure Cash. Okay, so that's what we need. Now we could click either here or there to create our Redis cache. It make no difference. So let's go ahead and just click create. Uh-oh, do I have that twice? No. So I already have my subscription that's already here by default, and I don't have a resource group. So let me go ahead and create a resource group. I like to call it RG1, and I hit OK. Now the DNS name. Let's call it Redis Cache. Okay. And as usual, doesn't like the capital. As usual, let's call it Redis Cache 1. It's not available. Okay, so I'll call it Redis Cache 01. Is that available? Okay, so let's see if we can put this on the East US 1. I mean East US. Okay, so it's not available here. 01. Okay. All right. So let's go on networking. So it says network connectivity. You can connect either publicly via public IP addresses or service endpoints, or privately use a private endpoint. So so it's already select like public endpoint by default. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave that. But by the way, so since it's already have this by default, so now if you must know, so a service endpoint we means a publicly routable IP address. A private endpoint is a private IP in the address space for the virtual network where the private endpoint is configured. So that's all that is. So I'm gonna let this be on public. Just click advance. Now the non-TLS, which is transport layer security. So you have to so TLS basically is just a communication between a client application. So on an Azure storage account is encrypted by TLS, like TLS, which is transport layer security. Like I said, it's TLS. Is a standard cryptographic protocol that ensures privacy and data integrity between clients and services over the internet for more. So yeah, so that's what TLS is. So the way it works in Azure is that it's just improve the security posture of your tenants and to remain in compliance with industry standards. So Microsoft Azure Active Directory So we'll soon stop support the following TLS protocol and ciphers and stuff. So I guess I just, I'll just leave this by default. There's no reason to enable this just to make it non-TLS port. So let's just hit tag. If we want to, we could just make a name for this, like Redis, Cash, and probably leave the value empty. And let me review. When final, um, when final, yes, and then it'll be create. Okay, so it's past the validation. Now let's just hit create. So the deployment is in progress. So guys, now you may ask, what is Redis Cache used for? So well, while it's in deployment, the deployment is in progress. So Azure Cache for Redis is a fully managed in-memory cache that enable high performance and scalable architectures. So it uses to create cloud or hybrid deployment that handle millions of requests per second at sub-millisecond latency. So all with the configuration, security, and availability benefits of a managed service. So that's what Redis Cache is used for. So the way it works is that Redis is an open source in-memory key value data store. So most commonly, it uses as a primary database cache messages broker and queue. So Redis delivers sub-millisecond response time, enabling fast and powerful real-time application in industries such as gaming, fintech, ad tech, social media, and healthcare, even the Internet of Things. So in Azure, the requirements to use like Redis is that you just need to have a subscription. You know, so and if you may wonder, like if Redis is used as a database or a cache. So Redis began as a caching database, but it has since evolved into a primary database. So many application built today uses Redis as a primary database. So however, most Redis services providers support Redis as a cache, but not as a primary database. Now, when should you use Redis? Large amount of data. Redis does not fit as a database. If we need to store very large data sets or expect our data to grow very fast. So, and now the advantage of Redis. So, what is let's start with let's start with the disadvantage. So the disadvantage of Redis is that Redis Cache is not without a drawback. Redis Cache is a memory-based caching solution, which means that it can be very expensive to store a large amount of data. Additionally, Redis Cache is not suitable for application that requires high availability. as it is not designed to be high available. So now you may ask if you can store file in Redis. So you can also store binary file data directly inside Redis. Redis keys and values don't have to be text strings. They can be binary, so a PNG, EXE, and PDF, etc. So files can be a key or a value in Redis. Just go over different things here before I get my deployment done. So now question, you may wonder, is Redis is a SQL or NoSQL that? Well, MongoDB and Redis are modern NoSQL databases. Even though they both fall under the same umbrella's term, NoSQL, they can conceptually different storage models. MongoDB stores data on the disk, whereas Redis is an in-memory store. So keep that in mind. Now, what is better than Redis Cache? Well, Memcache implements a multi-threaded architecture by utilizing multiple cores. Therefore, for storing larger data set, Memcache can perform better than Redis. So is Redis is relational or not? Redis is a type of database that's commonly referred to as NoSQL or non-relational. So I'm trying to create times here so this would finish its deployment, and it's unfortunate that it takes forever. So what language is Redis used? Redis can be written in the NC C language, and it works in most of the POSIX systems, such as BSD, Linux OS X, without having any external dependencies. OS X and Linux are considered being the two operating systems where Redis has been developed and tested the most, whereas Linux has been used for deploying the same. Oh my gosh, it takes forever before this is finished. Now, does Redis use RAM or SSD? So Redis use RAM. Redis in the key value based NoSQL database that store data in memory, in RAM, which is random access memory. This data store is one of the most frequently used key value databases today and is used for caching for Redis. Now, what is the maximum memory size in Redis? Well, Redis compiled with 32-bit target uses a lot less memory per key since pointers are small. But since an instance will be limited to 4 gigabit of maximum memory use, Oh my God, it takes forever before this is finished. Now, guys, what are the different type of cache in Azure? In Azure, you have multiple distributed cache options, including Microsoft Azure Cash and Cache for Azure and Memcache. Each cache provides a different set of options. Deploying distributed cache in Azure in all cache co-located or dedicated, cache service, cache VM dedicated, cache VM across WAN multi-regions. So who is using Redis Cache? A list of well-known companies using Redis, like Twitter, GitHub, and Snapshot. By the way, you may wonder what is the difference between Azure CDN and Azure Cache for Redis? Well, Azure Cache for Redis stores session state and other data that needs low latency access. Azure CDN is used for cache static content such as images, CSS, or HTML. Oh my God, I guess I'm gonna have to stop this video. It takes too long. Oh God. So it takes a long time before this deployment. Now, what would happen, guys, if Redis ran out of memory? If this limit is reached, Redis will start to reply with an error to write code. To write commands. But it will continue to accept read-only commands. You can also configure Redis to effect keys when the max memory limit is reached. Oh man. Now, what problem does Redis solve? Common use cases: caching due to its developers have turned to Redis when the volume of read and write operations exceed the capabilities of traditional databases. With Redis capabilities to easily persist the data to disk, it is a superior alternative to the traditional Memcache solution for caching. So Now you may wonder, how do you monitor Redis cache in Azure? So to view basic cache metric, find your cache in the portal on the left, whatever, and you see the following predefined monitoring chart: memory usage, so and Redis, so server load and stuff like that. So basically, I wanted this deployment to be finished so I can show you all these tricks, but it seems as if that this is gonna take forever before it even deployed. I wonder, what am I to do? Let's go to here and home. Now, if we were to click on this, oh, there we go. So this key here just that's if if you want to remote it into um so the Redis key is a data structure available in Redis that stores the mapping of keys to values. So here both the keys and the value are string, and the keys value pair or unordered. So the key are unique and no duplicated or allowed. So if you want to remote it in Python and stuff like that, so that's what you will use. So the port, it says SSH 6379 and stuff. So I'll go to resource group, the location, and this is where you would monitor your. So it says where the server load and the memory usage. So you would know, you know, your usage and stuff like that. But if you want to view all metrics, then you could go. As a matter of fact, there's certain stuff that haven't been done yet. So for the sake of not making this lab too long, I appreciate you following along with me. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next lab. Okay? Bye bye.